Hello everyone, Kyle Shevlin here with another tutorial for you guys. Last time we showed you how to input tracks to record in Audacity and Pro Tools. And today I'm going to show you how to do some basic editing of those tracks. So to get started, let's go over to File and let's import some audio so that we can edit it. I've just got some recordings here. I'm just going to pick one and open it. And when you open it, Audacity is going to ask you whether or not you would like to make a copy of the file. Now the reason you want to make a copy of the file is that you will not put permanent damage on the original. And by damage I don't mean any degradation of the audio, simply that if you apply effects to the audio, they're permanent and can't be undone. So by making a copy you can do all the editing you need to without harming the file permanently. So we're going to make a copy and it's imported. Now there's a couple interesting things about Audacity that I really enjoy when it comes to editing. When you have a stereo track you have a few options. You can actually split that stereo track here, or you can split the stereo to mono. Now there's a difference between the two. Splitting the stereo track will give you two tracks, a left track and a right track. What this means though is that you cannot pan them without losing the information. So if you took the left channel and panned it to the right, you would have silence and vice versa. Whereas if you split stereo to mono track, you now have two tracks that are in mono and you can pan them around and affect the width of your stereo track if you so choose. So that's an interesting feature of Audacity. We're not going to deal with that today. Let's move on to different editing. Alright, so your main tool you're going to use is this selection tool. This tool will allow you to left click and drag around the track so that you could choose to edit certain portions of it. So we have it, you see the little cursor icon, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to teach us our first one by highlighting and dragging this section, and we're going to do the silence audio edit. So perhaps you have some background noise that you don't need, it's not part of the vocal, you just hit this button and voila, you have silence. So let's do it again over here, and we can clean up this as well. Now notice my selection tool moved past the window that I had open. This is great because it allows you to get audio and select it that's not in screen right now. So we've done our silence, but perhaps we didn't want to do that. Perhaps we just wanted to take a section of audio that we wanted to use. So by highlighting all of this and hitting the trim, as you notice, it'll get rid of everything but what I've highlighted. And this is really useful. It helps isolate tracks and isolate sounds. So I can then use the time shift tool and I could shift it around the timeline. You can actually drag it past 0, as you can see, but it will nicely lock right there at 0 for you. So there are other things you can do. Going back to the selection tool, if we just put our marker here, most of these other tools are found in the edit window. So here you can go to clip boundaries, and this is useful. You can split. You could split to a new track. You can join to clips, or you can detach its silences. Let's start by splitting. So we split, and now using the time shift tool you could see that I have two separate areas. Using the selection tool I can then select both of them and we're going to join them. So I come back up here to clip boundaries and I join. Notice you can also use a shortcut key, but when I join you'll see that silence comes between the two, which allows us to do our last one, which is detach its silences. So let's say you're doing a voiceover or a podcast and you don't want to deal with any of the silences, having to edit them out. This is very useful. Detach the silences and it cuts it out for you. Now other useful features are your basic copy, cut, and paste. You can do that simply by doing this. Highlight a section. You can use the cut here, or you can use your typical command keys. Let's use the cut on this one. So it cuts it, removes it, and then I can paste it elsewhere in the track. Using Control Z, I'm going to undo that, and then you still have your basic copy and paste function as well. Notice it's a direct copy of what I highlighted. So Those are some basic editing tools. We'll get into more editing later on. Next, we'll move on to Pro Tools.